Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about some of the different things going on with the top 10 teams in the country, a couple of really dominating performances, a couple of not so great performances this past weekend. So definitely a lot for them to figure out. But let's get into a week one whip around. There is a number of different things I want to get to, and let's go ahead and jump in because there is a just so many games. I apologize, my hair's a little bit all over the place here, but let's get into the Tennessee game that stole a lot of headlines this past weekend where you probably didn't expect them to, and it was because of Nico Iamaleava. He was downright magical in this game, and obviously it is UT Chattanooga. I'm not going to put too much energy into this one, but everything was there. Everything was absolutely perfect from this kid throughout this game, and it's hard if you're a Tennessee fan to not come out of this one thinking you have the guy, because he went to work, 22 of 28, 314 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and if you look at a couple of those throws that he made, they are NFL level throws. It is outright ridiculous what this kid can do with the football, and while it is UT Chattanooga, this weekend he might just show you guys that he can do it against just about any defense in the country against NC State. So really impressive performance from him. Dylan Sampson was as impressive, 12 carries, 124 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then Dante Thornton was a huge piece of this offense, had 105 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game, so did exactly what they wanted to do, and now it's on to NC State and Charlotte, and we'll see if they can prove a point in that game and continue this really good run they started on. Moving on to Oklahoma State, this was a really impressive performance. This is the best FCS team in the country, and by a pretty good margin. South Dakota State is a really good team, has the Heisman of the FCS from a year ago in Matt Gronowski, and a very good team, and Oklahoma State just kind of took it to him. Was really impressive throughout this entire thing. Alan Bowman had a great day, 25 for 34, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and most importantly, 0 picks, which has been a big-time problem for him. If he cleans that up throughout the season, they're going to have a really nice season. And then Ollie Gordon, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, essentially just a day at the office for Ollie Gordon. So really impressive performance from Oklahoma State. I thought one of the more under-the-radar impressive performances this past weekend, and now it's time for them to really get to work and get into the meat of this schedule that they very well could go 11-1, 10-2, maybe even 12-0, and find themselves into the Big 12 championship. But moving forward to another Big 12 contender, Kansas State did really good work this past weekend. Obviously, UT Martin is a team that they should take advantage of, but they were able to in a lot of different ways. Avery Johnson had a very nice game. Passing the ball was left a little bit to be desired. 14 for 21, 150 or so yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. So was not perfect by any means, but did the job. But I want to talk about this rushing offense. Had 31 carries, 283 yards, and 2 touchdowns between the group of DJ Giddens, Avery Johnson, and Dylan Edwards. They're going to be ridiculous throughout this year, and that's going to be the big-time part of this offense. So would love to see more from that pass game, no doubt about it, but definitely really impressive performance, and we'll see what they have against Tulane. Maybe they ride that run game to another win. Maybe the pass game comes back to bite them, but definitely one that I'll be tuning into. I can promise you that. Moving on to Nebraska, it was all about Dylan Raiola on Saturday. Everyone was talking about how incredible this kid is, how confident he looked, and man, when you watch it back, it's really obvious. It's not necessarily like he did anything overly incredible, 19 for 27, over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the kid just plays with a confidence that most freshmen in the country don't, and frankly shouldn't. It's actually incredible what he was capable of doing. Found Isaiah Nair on a beautiful ball downfield who had 6 catches, 121 yards, and that touchdown, and then found Jamal Banks for another touchdown. So he's getting into the groove. He's finding the guys that he needs to find, the really veteran, long receivers that are very talented on this team, and it's one of those things that you're walking into that Colorado game, you have to feel really confident, and this performance did a really good job of getting that up for him. So very impressive from the freshman, and I think when you're walking into that Colorado game, you got to feel really good about number 15 if you're a Nebraska fan. Moving on to Auburn, we talked about this earlier. They went to work on Alabama A&M 73-3, and this one was about as good as Auburn fans could have possibly hoped in this one. You know, you knew you were going to see a win. You knew you were likely going to see a lot of points, but you got everything from Cam Coleman, from Perry Thompson, and from Malcolm Simmons, the 3 freshmen. 7 catches between them, over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Just ridiculous from that freshman group. And then Keandre Lambert-Smith had 3 catches, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So they they did plenty with the new additions to that wide receiver room. Really, really impressive stuff from that group. And then both quarterbacks looked good. Peyton Thorne and Hank Brown, they are supposed to look good against Alabama A&M. I will give you that. But you definitely want to see more from Peyton Thorne this year. And you feel like he's definitely taken a little bit of a stride. He looked really confident on Saturday and definitely has more receivers to throw to. That is definitely the case. So we'll see what happens throughout the next couple of weeks with Auburn. But off to about as good of a start as you could possibly hope. Moving on to Georgia Tech, this was a really impressive performance, and obviously 35-12 doesn't look all that impressive, but coming off that game in Dublin, where you beat a Florida State team that you were not supposed to beat, had all this energy, all this hype, and then you come back home and you play a good Georgia State team. Not a great Georgia State team by any means, but definitely a team that could cause some problems for some Power 4 teams out there because they are so good on the Group of 5 level, but Georgia Tech took care of business. Haynes King had one of his picks that he's likely to have pretty much every game this season, but went 24 for 29, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Malik Rutherford is really becoming the go-to target over there, along with Eric Singleton, 7 catches, 131 yards, and a touchdown. This was really impressive, and Georgia Tech obviously had to win this one, no doubt about that, but now you're heading into a Syracuse game where if you get a win there, you're 2-0 in ACC play, you're 3-0 overall, and you're feeling very confident with VMI coming up the next week. So we could see a little bit of a run from Georgia Tech, but they would have to beat this team right here. That was really impressive this past weekend. Syracuse gets a win over Ohio 38-22, and obviously the defense you would have loved to see play a little bit better in this one if you're Syracuse, but a good way for Fran Brown to start his debut, and definitely got a lot from Kyle McCord, which he said he was going to send something to Ryan Day because he got Kyle McCord in the portal. So definitely a really good performance from him. 27 of 39, over 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 pick. They had 3 receivers over 70 yards in this game, with Gadsden obviously leading the way with over 100 yards and a score. So really impressive. Overall, this is a very solid Ohio team on the other side, and Fran Brown being able to do this in his first game is very, very big. You know, it puts them on a really good track, and now you got a Georgia Tech game that could set you up for a ton of success this upcoming season if you can get a win at home. So a lot of really interesting things, and really impressive just overall getting a win against an Ohio team that is a little bit of a pest, would definitely cause you some problems and cause plenty of teams around the country problems, but Syracuse was able to take care of business, and now it's into the meat of the schedule with Georgia Tech coming up this weekend. Then we had Arizona and New Mexico put on a show late on Saturday night because this one was weird. It was top to bottom really weird. New Mexico was able to hang around for just long enough to make this one interesting, but then Arizona was able to pull away, and they did a number of really good things in this game. The 2 transfer running backs they brought over, Conley and Croskett Merritt, had 23 carries, 196 yards, and 4 touchdowns, so did exactly what you wanted to do if you're Arizona. But the guy that really, really stole the show was Tetairoa McMillan. He was downright special. 10 catches, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, which was a program record, and frankly, the yards probably was a program record as well, but he was just incredible. Every time he got the ball in his hands, you felt like it was going to the house, and a lot of times it did. It was really, really impressive, and he's one of those guys. He's one of the top wide receivers in the country. I'd probably put him at number 2 right now, and he got off to about as good of a start as you possibly could have if you're Tetairoa McMillan. On the other side, Devon Dampier is someone we got to talk about more often. He was really impressive in this game, went 24 for 42, had almost over 400 yards total, had 5 total touchdowns, did have 2 picks, but if you want to watch really fun football, go over watching New Mexico and Devon Dampier and just watch him go to work, because he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the country and really does incredible stuff. Obviously, for this Arizona team, you want to see more from this defense, no doubt about it, but the offense did exactly what they needed to, picked up where they left off from a year ago, and we'll see what they can do going forward. Gonna need more from that defense, but have a couple of weeks to figure out some things before they get into Big 12 play. The last one game I want to talk about is Boise State over Georgia Southern, 56-45. this is one that likely should not have been this close. The Boise State defense has a ton to figure out before they play Oregon this upcoming weekend, but the guy that stole the show was the best running back in the country, according to a lot of people. Ashton Jeanty, 20 carries, 267 yards, 6 touchdowns in this game. It was insane, and he was fighting cramps throughout this one, but was able to battle through, made every single play you could possibly want him to make, and this is one of those players that is an equalizer. We talked about Thomas Castellanos against Florida State. Ashton Jeanty against Oregon is one of those where if he gets going, if he starts to run and gets a little bit of open field, it's going to be hard to stop him. It's going to be one of those players that can totally change the complexion of a game and make this a lot closer than Oregon wants it. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, Oregon is going to do everything they can to stop this guy, but so was Georgia Southern. They were nowhere close. Obviously, Oregon a lot better than Georgia Southern, but Boise State might just have the best player on the field on Saturday. So a ton going in the direction and just a ridiculous performance from Ashton Jeanty on Saturday. But overall, there were a ton of really, really ridiculous performances, a ton of really close games, but that'll about do it for the Week 1 recap over the past couple of days. It's been a lot of stuff to get through because Week 1 was off the walls. It was absolutely crazy, but Week 2 is pretty much here. So I want to get into my top 12 teams as we head into Week 2 on the last segment here, and we will get into that right after this, so stick with us.